Hello. You are listening to Dads with Startups, a podcast about a couple of entrepreneurs who put family first.
Good afternoon, Kevin.
Howdy, how you doing? How's it going
Pretty
up
good.
there? Your neck of the woods.
It's nice. It's getting warm, but as it does
Yeah.
in summertime.
How hot does it get where you guys are?
In northern Utah, the temperatures have been in the very low 90s lately, which is actually a little cooler than I'm used to being.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
For summertime, that's great.
How about you up in the mountains of Arizona?
Yeah, we're about 95 to, I'd say 90 to 97. That's kind of where we've been at these days. It's a nice day today. It's probably in low 90s, but can get up there sometimes.
How's the new office treating you?
Oh, it's great. I'm digging it. My office mate, he and I just met. I think, what did we meet? We met playing tennis. Oh no, we met at a playground, and we were both remote workers, and he works for a software company, and he said, if you know anyone has an office, and so we partnered on this together. So he's done a great job. He's brought the coffee maker. He's brought the decor, so I don't have to worry about anything. And he's brought what I thought was a weird looking coffee maker. I've never seen this weird contraption before. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. And I looked it up, and it's a $350 coffee maker. It's not an espresso machine. It's just a drip coffee maker from like Germany or something. And so anyway, I'm digging his taste. So,
So Kevin, what did you bring to the office?
What did I bring? The only thing that I brought is my dog now. So I have a new dog, and it's a Australian Shepherd, and so that's my contribution is some break time for him. When he needs to take a break, he can pet my dog and stuff like that, I guess. So not much,
Sounds
not as
balanced.
much as I should. Yeah, I should be.
Don't forget your natural charm.
Exactly.
The office.
There you go. Exactly. How about you? How's your office going?
Pretty good. I haven't been here for a couple weeks. So we went on a trip a couple weeks ago, which is why we had to kind of reschedule this podcast. I went to Lake Tahoe.
Oh, great.
Which a lot of people surprisingly aren't really familiar with where that is. So it's on the border of Nevada and California in the mountains, Sierra Nevada mountains. So nice and cool temperatures. The lake is freezing cold. I mean, it is very, very cold. Yeah. Have you ever been to Lake Tahoe?
Yeah. I used to live kind of near there about 7 years ago, about an hour away. And
did you?
We lived about southwest in this little town that no one really knew was there because it was off the freeway. And we would go there a few times during the summer. And I do remember now that you say it was a little chilly because I guess it's such a big lake.
A little chilly. Man, it was freezing. But
was it?
I'm sure a little bit later in the summer, it can warm up a little bit. But
Tahoe is beautiful during the summer. A lot of people go in the winter. They don't really get to experience that.
Oh, yeah. It's nice. It's like 8 or 9 hours drive away for us.
Okay.
So the drive is pretty brutal. You're just driving across nothing in Nevada to get there. And then you got to Reno, and then you go up the mountains, and all of a sudden you're like in a completely different place. Yeah.
Totally. So did you guys do boating, water sports, that kind of stuff?
We didn't do any water sports. It was with my extended family on my wife's side, and they're not really a big water sports family. I haven't really done I don't think I've ever been boating with them before, but just some family-friendly hiking. A lot of us have small children, and we stayed in some condos, and so we kind of just relaxed and let the kids play together and did stuff like that. And we also caught COVID. So
somehow in that split second before COVID, I thought you were gonna say we caught a fish, but
yep,
not as fun.
Not as fun as catching a fish. So we everybody, like so many people in this extended family, got it after that trip. So
bummer.
It's going around. So, but we're at the end of it now. So I'm back in the office today.
Nice.
First day back at work.
Was it a pretty headaches and fever and all that stuff this time, or this is not your first time, was it?
It was my first time testing.
It was your first
positive.
time. Oh, okay.
I suspect I had it before. There was one time where I self-quarantined. I thought I had it, so I just self-quarantined, and because a lot of people around us had it, but not really sure.
Gotcha.
Just kind of felt really tired and achy for about
Yeah.
3 or 4 days, and
Yeah.
that was it. Not a lot of coughing.
That's
and
good.
some of the
Good.
symptoms they talk about.
Right,
So
right.
I don't know if this strain is a little different than the older ones were, but
well, that's good.
Yeah.
That sounds overall sounds fun. Besides that, it sounds like you at least got to enjoy the beauty in the woods and all that stuff for a bit.
Yeah, it was a nice break.
Nice.
How about you? What have you been up to?
So maybe we were simultaneously doing this. I went down and met about 3 other families. We all rented a huge cabin in Big Bear, which is on the southern side of the same state, California. And so has a lake. It's not nearly as grand as Lake Tahoe. It's like actually kind of depressing. It's drying up. And so we were kind of near the shore, like a block or two from the shore. And all these houses had been built right along the shore with little boat, what is it? Boats, docks, and stuff like that. And then, but if you looked, it was like everything was dried up. The boat docks were empty, and you could walk another about 250 feet into where it used to be the water. So I don't know why. I'm not sure, what the reason of all that is, but it wasn't as lovely as Tahoe, I remember. But it was really still beautiful up there, and we had everyone just in this one large cabin. And what was great about that is, like you say, all the kids were playing with each other. And it was the first time in a long time that I remember just relaxing and having like conversations with adults that are my age, and just like being able to like, oh, wow, the kids are busy with each other and they're keeping each other entertained. It was very nice. So that was worth it.
Yeah.
Just for that one aspect.
As a father of little children, I can appreciate that. It's funny how for the past, I don't know, let's see, our oldest is 9. So past 9 years, we've kind of, you have to treasure those moments when you can just not worry about what the kids are doing and actually talk to friends. Usually when we get together with friends or family, at least one of me or my wife is the one that's responsible for chasing the toddler around. And the other one gets to have the conversation, and it always seems a little unfair, no matter which side you're on.
Yeah, exactly.
With that, so
well, it's cool too because we were up. I also was interesting. We all were pretty early birds in terms of when we typically go to bed, but just because we were all there, all the adults would stay up till midnight every night and just chat, and that was kind of unusual. My wife was up with me; she never stays awake past like maybe 10. So it was a good energy. It felt like, wow, we all met in college. And so it was kind of fun feeling like we were kind of back there for a little bit. So that was cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What about things on the, any other family updates? Any other things going on?
Well, the other day I went upstairs and my 2-year-old daughter was walking around, and I was like, where's your mom? And she's like, she's in the kitchen rolling dope. I was like, rolling dope, huh? She's like, yeah, she's rolling dope. I go in, she's rolling dough on the counter. But
nice.
I thought that was funny.
So you're
rolling dope.
Yeah. You're walking down like, what am I going to see here? What's going to happen?
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, I'm trying to think like for us, there's just kind of getting back into the swing of things since we came back. But we did, when we arrived, as I mentioned earlier, we have that new member of our family, which is a little black and white Australian Shepherd. And I really did not want to get a dog anytime soon. We had talked about it like about a month ago. My wife and I were like, and should we get a dog? And both of us were like, no. Yes, we want one in general. It's a good idea, but life seems so busy right now and complicated. Let's not add another project to our plate. And so I think that week or the next week I went in to rent this office, and the main lobby downstairs, this dog was sitting there, and I was like, oh, what a nice dog. And it was very sweet, came up to me, was very friendly. And she said, oh, it's looking for a home if you know anyone. And I was like, oh no, this is a dog that I think I could like.
The universe brought you.
Yes, exactly. So and it's funny because I, as I mentioned earlier, I lived up near Tahoe. And when we lived up there in this little town, we lived on a little, 10-acre property that we were renting. And the owner had 2 dogs that were like sheepdogs that we immediately loved. Like I grew up with dogs, and I'm more of a cat person. I'm just, they were always kind of not my thing. But these 2 dogs on this little farm, I really loved just because they were super smart, and they would there were horses on the property. So they would always herd the horses and the goats and stuff. And I really liked that. I was like, that's smart. This is useful. They're actually helping the property. And whenever we would go for walks, they would follow us and never leave our side without a leash. And I was like, oh, that's brilliant. My dogs growing up, they would just run off and I'd never see them again. So when I saw this dog, I had this feeling it was going to be similar. And so far, he's kind of like that. For the first week, I had a leash on him all the time. And then I realized he just wants to be with me. So kind of just hanging out with me everywhere I go now. I never thought I'd be that kind of person, but it's becoming my new reality. So that's kind of what the kids are really having fun with that, and they feel like they have a new sibling. So it's kind of fun.
Nice. So let's see. Last time we talked, you were thinking of dropping your premium plan.
Yes.
Right. So
yeah, good.
It's been 3 weeks.
Memory.
So
yeah.
What have you?
So what I've done? Yeah, we started that transition effectively. Now my main developer has removed it from our staging, let's say development site. So we're still in QA kind of testing for that. So effectively it's pretty much ready to go. There's a few hiccups and I need to kind of fix, but we are about to make the transition hopefully this week. And that I'm excited about. I think it'll be, it'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure if I'm excited or nervous, but I think it's a good idea in general. There seems to be an uptick recently in interest in the product, people reaching out more, asking questions, signing up for demos and for new accounts. And so my hope is that this will at least allow us to have an increase in some funds that are coming in, and which, I'm not going to be taking any profits. It's just going right back into development costs and stuff like that. But I realize that I think it's hopefully a good, it's going to be a good move. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is there's a number of updates that have just been on the back burner. They're built, they're ready. Have been tested to a bit, and I just have not found the time to actually go make the update to the production site, and I'm nervous about that. So I am curious kind of about, I'd like to chat about that with you and what your deployment process is, because as we get more folks on board and we're getting new signups of paying customers, it does make me more nervous. It was fun and all when it was just me and my assistant using the site, but now that I know there's live courses going on and stuff like that, I'm just curious kind of what your thought is with best practices.
How many developers are touching this project?
Good question. There's 2 main ones right now. Actually, no, 3. We just added a third, so there's 3 now, and I'm looking for a 4th in the next couple of weeks that I might be bringing on. So you
are widely in a different world than me, my friend, because I am alone.
Oh yeah, true.
Developer. I'll be glad to share what I've done. This for me personally, I don't have like a separate QA process. Pretty much I just change the code, and then sometimes I'll just deploy right to production.
Push it out. Okay. Yeah.
Not exactly. I don't even I don't even know how many daily active total users that I have are
Okay.
actually.
Interesting.
I need to get that data. Probably about time.
Do you have? I imagine there's some record of it in the database, or not? Like, is there a login activity or a login entry?
Well, I do have. So I can tell you that I have about 250 or maybe 300 active users who have user accounts. But that does not include applicants who apply for like a building permit through my software.
Okay.
So they don't actually have accounts. They get access to a portal, but there's no login required there. So
okay.
That's why it's so hard. Let me see if I can pull in some data, though. I can get some kind of an idea, at least of numbers. But yeah, I mean, I do see quite a bit of activity on the app.
Nice.
But yeah,
but maybe not knowing makes you less worried about it. Maybe that's why
perhaps. Yeah, maybe. When I push the code, yeah, I just kind of like let it go. I have a staging site and I use it sometimes. If it's like an update that I feel personally like, I think we should just check this on a staging site, which is a duplicate server to my own production one.
Sure.
But in theory, my local machine is also a duplicate environment. So,
right. Yeah. So you test it on there.
I'll test it on staging, but it's actually rare that they would actually test there. So,
well, that's good. I feel like I'm not the only one that is, like I'm thinking, am I the only one who's just kind of sometimes throwing, like, sometimes if I need to make a quick change, I'll just kind of do it. And, there's, typically it's not any big feature. It's like, okay, change a color or change, like, there's some CSS that's broken. So I'll just kind of throw it up on the production if I feel it's safe enough to do so. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to hear that. I think you're right, though. There's an element of like, if I have 3 or 4 people working on this, then it becomes more complex.
Do you have testing in place in your app?
No, and that's another thing I need to start working on. I was talking to my office mate here, and he's a software product manager, and he was talking about how they just started rolling in scripts for testing, and they didn't have it for a while, but now every feature they do, they're adding it. And so he was like, just kind of do it step by step as you add new features. What's your experience with that?
I do have testing on my API, a pretty comprehensive testing.
Oh,
so
good.
every time I add a feature or fix a bug, there's a test associated with it. So
interesting. Okay.
We currently, and they're integration tests, not unit tests. It's really testing the entire API endpoint. Make a request. Here's the result should be what should happen as a result of it.
Nice.
I think our count's about 600 unit tests right now.
Wow.
So
that's fascinating. That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty good testing, and that gives me a lot of confidence.
That does, yeah.
I think
can see that.
That's maybe why I feel okay about just like pushing stuff out there. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. And you're the one who created those tests, I assume, or
yeah.
And so there's probably also confidence there, like you created the right test, so if something's going to be thrown off by a new feature you're rolling out.
Right.
And we don't have any testing right now, I'm embarrassed to say. So that will be moved up in my priority. You're the second person who brought it up out of the blue. So in the past 24 hours. So good to know.
Yeah, it's a game changer. I've had other projects where once I added testing, like bugs went away and things just started being much more reliable.
Okay.
So
cool.
I have worked on other teams. Before I went full-time on Civic Review, I was contracting with a customer, with a client, and I worked about 20 hours a week for these guys for a couple of years while I was running Civic Review. And they had me in as one of their team members, and I think they had about 3 back-end developers. I was the only front-end developer, and then they had a separate QA person. They also had a Scrum Master,
Wow.
and a product manager as well. And that made up our team.
I'm curious
So
what a Scrum Master is. That sounds like a barbecue master or something.
Are you familiar with Agile?
I'm
project
familiar
management?
with it, but I've never actually studied it. I was just talking again to somebody, and I was thinking maybe I should just sign up for like a Udemy class on basic Scrum, because I kind of get the overall gist of it, but I don't know the details very well.
Yeah, really nice for a team.
Mm-hmm.
The Scrum Master's job was to he just kind of ran the meetings where we did these sprint planning sessions, and a sprint is just a time period that your agile software team decides to take work in chunks. So we had a 2-week sprint. So every 2 weeks we'd have a planning meeting
Gotcha.
where we would tell each other, okay, these are the things that I'm working on. And there's kind of a point system. You assign tasks. So more difficult points or more difficult tasks. I think 16 was one full week. And so if it was like you'd throw all these tasks in, your points would add up and show you how many points each developer is taking on, and then how many as a team. And then at the end of your 2-week sprint, you could look at it and say, okay, we only got X amount of work done, so therefore we're over planning ourselves, or we need to make adjustments, or one thing or the other. So and we would aim to get tasks done within that 2-week period instead of having these really long ongoing software updates that just take forever and never actually get done.
That's good. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably not there yet. I can feel that, like, I'm not ready for full on Scrum Master level yet, but I think but it's good to have that in mind. Like, when we're ready, we get to a certain threshold, that'll be good to look into someone.
I think you could still do sprint planning without a Scrum Master. The Scrum Master was he was the Scrum Master for a few different software teams.
Nice.
So
okay.
It wasn't his full-time thing just with us.
So he was like an expert for just that. Okay, that's great. Yeah, good to know. The testing is a big one, and probably should, like I say, even like the way I'm organizing my repos probably could be improved, like how to take the develop branch. And right now what I'm doing is taking the develop branch, moving it into a separate branch I have just for deployments, but trying to kind of add my own version numbers, which doesn't really make any sense because they're just kind of internal anyway. There's not really a official version that the public sees, but like just so I kind of know where were we at when we deployed this and what kind of features did that include. And that's working so far, but like I think I'm just like, because I don't have the full concept of Scrum or Agile, I'm just kind of winging it. So it'd be nice to have a little bit more structure there.
Yeah, there's a couple ways of thinking about it. Like that team that I worked on, they only shipped to production once per sprint. So it'd be a sprint ends.
Oh, okay.
Then they would ship the next couple days. They had, I think, Tuesday, every other Tuesday or something was their shipping day. And then they would ship all the updates that we'd worked on. And they did that only twice a week. There are companies that I've heard of that ship just all constant, every feature. I think, there's a company nearby here called Pluralsight. You probably heard of them because you're in the education space. Have you heard of Pluralsight? Anyway,
no, I don't think I have.
They said that they deploy production code like 20 times per day because just different developers, they just like ship it right away. So I personally kind of like that approach a little bit. They're probably not, I don't know if they're tracking versions, but that's a little bit more how I operate on an individual basis is I'll just ship. The one problem I have is my application runs service workers to fetch the newest version of the software behind the scenes when a person visits the app, and then it will refresh the browser. Or have you seen those messages in certain tools? It'll say like, this software is updated, click here to restart.
Yes. That's right. Yeah.
So it does that. The problem is if I'm shipping multiple times a day, that message is going to pop up multiple times.
Good point.
As a solo developer, also running all the sales in the company, I'm not shipping multiple times a day.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's a good point. I mean, if you that's not a bad way to think about it, because really you're minimizing. I guess it's sort of like an earthquake, right? You can either have one big 10.0 earthquake or many small 3.0 earthquakes. And I'm taking the approach of the 10.0, which is great. Like, okay, once a month I'm updating the app, but I'm exposing the app to a lot of potential vulnerabilities that could hit all at once. I mean, so I could have things go crazy, versus if I just did one feature at a time or one issue at a time. I'm kind of spreading out the risk a little bit, I would say. So that makes actually much more sense.
Yeah. I don't know
But
what's
with
better.
time, yeah, I think right now I'm just what I'm feeling is it's just because life is so busy right now. Things are just like it's not that I don't want to ship more features out constantly. It's just like I don't have the time to really get into it, and then I have to, so I dedicate a few days to just getting the deployments updated. Plus, I'm doing marketing right now. My wife partner was doing that, but because she's focused on another project, that's kind of taking her time. So I'm kind of back to doing it all again. And then today I got a email from a pretty interested customer a few days ago. I shouldn't say customer, it was a user who was building out his course and all this stuff. And then he hit one error, which was an annoying error. And effectively, he just walked away. He was like, you know, where you get like 3 messages in like the course of 2 or 3 hours. And I was probably sleeping. And it was like, this isn't working. And then an update, still not working. Where are you guys? And another update, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. It's like, okay. So you see it, in hindsight. And I looked into the error, and it's an error that I probably have seen before, but I didn't make a big deal out of it, because it was basically like, if you haven't logged in for 3 or 4 days and you try to click on a button or sign, it's going to give you like an internal system error type thing. And in my mind, I'm like, well, that's because I haven't logged in. But I forget, like, well, to a user, they don't get that. This is like, this product sucks,
more
so
painful for them than you.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So stuff like that, where I just have to be like, wow, I just lost a customer, or potential customer, and that's painful. I really need to get this deployment thing down with and make this app it's a good just reminder for me, just like making the user experience flawless is such an important piece of it.
Yeah. On the flip side, experiences like that, they feel like losses at the time, but I think if you come away with okay, now I know what to do better, then overall it's a win.
That's true. Good point. Yeah, I'm glad he brought it up to me. What about you? So what's going on your side of things?
Oh, other than traveling a lot and having COVID and probably not working as productive last week while dealing with COVID at home, and I have had a few inbound sales leads, which don't come very often, and I had 2 the same week last week. One was a city in Alabama, and the guy was like, I've had my eye on you guys for about the last year. I'm like,
Nice.
really? That's cool. How did we even get on your radar? And what he had done was he was Googling a solution, and he found a proposal that was online somewhere that we had given one of our customers. And so one of the disadvantages of working in public sector is these proposals become public record. So I can't really fight it or anything, but he saw this proposal and read about our software and the features in that proposal, and that's how he found us.
That's
and
awesome.
So he said, he was like, I finally kind of have some funding now. We want to get this going. And so I haven't had a demo with him yet, but all things are sounding pretty positive right now. I had 3 inbound leads. Another one was a city, or it was a county, looking for something for event permitting, and she Googled us, I think, and found us. I can't remember how she found us exactly. Some random resource on Google, I think. Oh, I know what it was. She was Googling solutions, found an application form for one of our customers, looked at the domain and saw app.civicreview.com and thought, I wonder what that is. So then she went to civicreview.com and saw our marketing site. And that was she's a highly intelligent prospective customer. You know, she knows how to do all that digging, which is cool.
So she was on a discussion forum for one of your, like, would it be like a city forum or something like that, or would it be?
No, she was Googling like event permitting software and found an application for a special event permit that one of our cities, one of our customers were using, you know, and then she clicked on the application to check it out, see how it worked, and was like, this sounds like what I want, you know.
Very smart.
Yeah.
I like it.
And then the third one is funny. My younger brother was playing Xbox with my cousin. They were playing Halo together, I guess. And my brother told my cousin about this Xbox, or about my company. And he was like, that sounds like what my boss is looking for. And so he told his boss, and she was like, oh yeah, I want to have a demo with these guys. So the next day or that day, I'm not really sure on the timeline, she Googled us and submitted like a demo request form. So
very cool. All right.
Yeah, turns out this cousin would be the target user of my software, which is like, apparently I haven't talked to my cousin for a while, but yeah,
it's funny. And was that up in Tahoe, or was that kind of happened when you guys were up there?
That happened last week. All of those happened last week.
Funny. Okay.
So,
yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, you kind of, how much do you say when you're with family and friends? I mean, people care by the least. Yeah.
I don't go around just saying like, just in case you didn't know, I have a business, right?
In a particular niche, which you know, people most.
Yeah. Well, this cousin lives in Alaska, and
interesting. That's great.
He's very far. I don't see him very often. So
you got your other family members working for you. That's good.
I know. Yeah, the family connections are always nice, but even the other inbound leads, it's kind of like,
well, I mean,
grow to a critical point where people start referring you, or they start finding you through other means. It's pretty cool.
I really think in terms of, you know, and I think we've talked a little bit about it, but like in terms of discovery, your app is particularly, I think it would be particularly good at SEO and discovery more than most SaaS founders. I mean, I shouldn't say most, but there's a lot of SaaS founders who create either two things. I think one is a product that they think that people need. That's a very kind of it's solving some sort of pet peeve of theirs, but it's not something people are actually searching for. It's like, oh, this, you know, is a new way of chat or something like that. And, you know, I was just listening to one podcast, and his product is sort of like asynchronous communication with a potential customer through video. It's very like, you know, hard to get your head around. So no one's searching for that. And that's hard to kind of sell with SEO. The other one would be, you know, how many booking SaaSes are there? You know, book your calendar booking systems. There's like one every day that comes up. And so that's also so much competition with SEO that, you know, who knows. But with yours, it seems like it's in that sweet spot of people know what they're looking for. And there's not a gazillion other competitors out there. There's a few, but it's not super. So it could be a very good candidate for stuff like that. It sounds like without even trying, you're just getting natural SEO traffic.
Well, that's the thing, is I don't have any kind of SEO activity that I'm doing in my business.
Right.
And I need to change that. I got to figure out how to get more of these kinds of leads.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I am bringing back my SEO guy. I'll just call him. And we had sort of decided to put a pause on SEO for a while, but I kind of realized the other day what you know, it's the one thing that keeps on bringing new leads in. So he's a guy that I met a few years ago. I found him on Upwork, and he had experience with SEO, I think, in his home country of Iran, with Google there, and he was, you know, that's how he kind of got it really good at it with his own business there. So anyway, the way kind of our system works and him and I are now pretty well in sync, is I just tell him kind of like, here's the keywords that I want you to focus on, and find and research good topics. And then I just kind of have him working with our project management system, like in Asana. And so he creates new articles as tasks with a title, and then he creates an outline for the writer, and then he assigns it to the writer. She deals with it. She writes it, gives it back, and then he takes it and inputs it into the site and does optimization. And so it's pretty straightforward, but I'm excited to get that machine back. I call it machine back up and running, because the goal is to have about 4 articles a month. And when it was working with our other business, it was just, I didn't even look at it for months, and I just constantly see new updates from Google, like, oh, this article is rising. And I was like, I don't even know what that article is. I didn't know we had that article.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah. So this might be something to think about, is if you can find someone. I would just say, even if you just want to start off with someone on Upwork that is SEO, like an SEO kind of expert, if you will.
Does he have so does he do the key? You provide him a keyword you want to rank for. Does he do additional keyword research?
Yeah, I provide him sort of the category of keywords and maybe one example. And then you're right, he'll take that and make a bunch of long tail and offshoots and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
It is good to define parameters, though, because there are times where he's created an article that I know, even if it got traffic, won't convert anyway. And so I just have to that's the one thing you kind of have to watch, is as you're seeing them come through in the project management system. If you see one that's just like, that's not related to our thing. Yeah, maybe it technically is going to get traffic. You just have to flag it and cancel that. But if it's in a certain range and you think it could still be, applicable, then.
So he does the research. He assigns the topic then to a writer who writes.
Yeah. And he does the outline too. So he gives them
an outline,
kind of the meat of what they should be hitting in that article. And the cool thing about him too, which he does stuff that I really don't understand or kind of get, like he'll take the article after it's written. He may be doing the images, or my VA does the images, but he'll take the images, optimize them, put the descriptors in, and then he'll do a lot of internal linking to other articles, which I didn't realize. I used to never think that was a big deal, but that's really helped it too, because now they're all kind of working with each other on the site back and forth, and they kind of create this momentum, I guess. And so we're just using nothing special. We were mostly using Yoast SEO for a while, which was completely adequate. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff for Webflow now, but yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's the engine I need. I don't have time, and that's my problem.
Yeah. So that's the part of taking time to find somebody, and then setting up kind of the template task, and then explaining it with a screencast, and then hopefully letting it rip. But
yeah, that's cool. You'll have to let me know how that goes. I may have to reach out to him sometime too.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely.
So, all right, sweet. Well, I think we should wrap it up, but next time we can revisit how the SEO work.
Anything you want to get done in the next before the next meeting? Session?
Good question. Yeah, my goals for the next couple of weeks include, there's a couple of I got to get quarterly planning done. So that will be a fun thing to report on. Besides that, I've got a bunch of reactive work that I've got to work on. But quarterly planning is kind of a big one. So
sure.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means exactly. Quarterly planning for just the whole business, or for a particular...
The business, the team, whatever. I kind of think about what are my goals? What do I want to have accomplished by the end of this quarter? Kind of like bigger level projects, things like that. So.
All right. Well, that actually would be cool to talk about next time as a topic, because my wife partner is really good and at that and she's interested in that. She loves planning, and I'm not a planner. I'm if I have to. So, but I know it's good for me. It's like, vegetables. I got to eat
Yeah,
vegetables. So that would be a nice thing to talk about, what your method is, if there's any protocols you follow or whatever kind of works for you. I'd love to hear more about that.
Well, I'm not as organized as you think, but yes, let's talk about it.
But let's dive in. That sounds good.
All right. Okay. Thanks for chatting, Kevin.
All right. We'll
talk
talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening. You can learn more by visiting dadswithstartups.com. Please rate and review us by going to ratethispodcast.com/Dads with Startups. Until next time, bye.